Good morning. As I discussed previously, the topic of my speech concerns the current NCAA recruiting and transfer rules and how the current environment poses an expanded threat to schools such as Siena. As a refresher, the transfer portal is a compliance tool to systematically manage the transfer process from start to finish. NIL, short for name, image, and likeness, refers to the way college athletes can receive compensation through endorsement deals, social media, and such things as making personal appearances and signing autographs. Now understand, the transfer portal and NIL did not create an unfair situation for schools like Siena. They are simply the most recent hurdles smaller schools must overcome. Prior to the transfer portal and NIL, larger schools from major or power conferences already had significant advantages. Some were obvious, such as the size and resources available to the schools. As an example, schools in the Big Ten have an average undergraduate enrollment of over 30,000. As a comparison, Siena's is less than 3,500. The sheer size of these schools has traditionally provided them with greater resources. Additionally, these larger schools are more prominently featured on national sports broadcasts, providing additional exposure for their programs and players. An example of this was the 7-year college football and basketball TV deal the Big Ten Conference signed with Fox, CBS, and NBC, valued at $1 billion a year. Coaches at these institutions could promise the exposure that televised games provide. For Siena, the MAC Conference has no such TV broadcast deal. Let's examine this by reviewing work done by David Piper, Matt Hummel, and Akira Asada. Research analyzed by the group for their paper, Switching Schools, revealed significant opportunities for players who transferred in Division I basketball. These opportunities included playing in more games, playing more minutes per game, and averaging more wins per season. These factors all contribute to increased visibility for athletes. Piper, Hummel, and Asada stated that just 4.2% of draft-eligible NCAA Division I men's basketball players were selected in the 2019 NBA draft. Players need the exposure to attract professional scouts and contract offers. Their research also revealed a majority of transfers were lateral or to schools on a similar level as an athlete's former school, and thus was not contributing to a talent drain from weaker to stronger conferences. I would agree that when players transfer to a new school where they will be more prominently featured, whether within the team system or the school's media footprint, this will provide them with increased exposure and ultimately greater opportunities to pursue professional careers. I would question their conclusions on talent drain because the research conducted was prior to the current NIL landscape. Beyond the potential benefits for student athletes, there is a question of how these rule changes will affect the future of college athletics. In his article, A Perfect Storm, Chase Browndorf examines two central developments in college athletics. Browndorf's position is that the NCAA's long-standing aims of preserving amateurism and promoting competition will necessarily fail. Let's examine whether Browndorf's argument has merit. Prior to the recent changes, the NCAA would act as a law enforcement agency, punishing teams and players who gave or received impermissible benefits. In the case of Southern Methodist University in 1987, boosters provided outrageous benefits to students, including high school athletes the school wished to recruit. The NCAA laid the hammer down on SMU with what was the first case of the College death penalty. The SMU Mustangs were banned from competing in football for a year and suffered massive scholarship losses that the program has yet to fully recover from over 30 years later. Flash forward to 2023. The NCAA issued its first sanctions in a case related to NIL opportunities against the Miami women's basketball program. According to ESPN, the sanctions stem from a meeting between billionaire Miami alum John Ruiz and transfer basketball players Haley and Hannah Cavender. Ruiz has signed more than 100 Hurricane athletes to NIL deals to promote his company LifeWallet, some of them reportedly worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The Cavenders ultimately leave Fresno State and transferred to Miami. Contrary to the death penalty, Miami received very little punishment. The school was placed on probation for 1 year, and women's head basketball coach Katie Meyer was suspended for 3 games. It would appear that Browndorf's position related to amateur athletics is accurate. I agree with Browndorf that the NCAA's efforts to maintain amateurism is in danger. Mid-major schools have had historical disadvantages to their larger counterparts in college athletics. Some, such as the sheer size of the schools and their available resources, have long been part of the college landscape. The current environment, including unrestricted transfer rules, the transfer portal, and NIL, create new threats to mid-majors. With NIL deals worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to athletes, boosters and wealthy alumni are now virtually free to engage in pay-for-play arrangements with athletes. Thank you.